Welcome to the More Than Fitness podcast.
Hello, podcast friends, and welcome back to Minisode number 74 on the More Than Fitness podcast. I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt. The video listeners can see that. Those that have been with me for a while know that the Hawaiian shirt is a very near and dear piece of clothing to me. And I stopped wearing it in the beginning of the minisodes. If you go all the way back to the beginning, I was wearing it for every single minisode. But I've always believed that if you just do things because you feel like you need to do things, it kind of loses the main purpose and why you did it in the first place. And the reason why I wore the Hawaiian shirts is because it gets me loosey-goosey. You can't take yourself too seriously whenever you're in a Hawaiian shirt. But if I did that every single time, then it kind of reduces and diminishes that effect in the first place. I'm just doing it because I know I need to do it for every single minisode, not just because I want to. So, long story short, I want to today. It's a Friday. It's a sunny day outside. I'm feeling good. And the topic of today's minisode aligns well with the spirit of the Hawaiian shirt. I don't know. I haven't figured out a title for this one yet. But what I want to do is start this minisode out with a little bit of a story. Just a quick story to kind of it really nails the point that I'm trying to make. And this is a story by my friend Nate. I'll link the full article that he wrote in the description of this, but we'll start with the story. So he says he's in Hong Kong in December of 2018. And I'm kind of paraphrasing. I'm going to try and jump through it a little bit. But he's in an auditorium in Hong Kong, and there is a Buddhist monk sitting in the center of the stage, sitting on a raised platform. He's wearing a dark red robe, the color of blood. All around him are gold vases full of flowers. He picks up a napkin. He looks at us. And so on the video podcast, I've got a napkin here for a little prop. So the monk picks up a napkin. He looks at us and he says, "How much strength does it take to hold this napkin?" He asks. He waits. No one says anything. This is not a question he wants us to answer out loud. Instead, he wants us to feel the answer. The monk says, "How much strength does it take to hold this napkin?" He asks again. He looks down at his hand and he holds the napkin gently between his pinky finger and his thumb. So I'm on the video podcast, I've got it right here. So just imagine the napkin in between your pinky and your thumb. And so then he smiles. The monk smiles. He says, "This is all the strength you need. So why are we all holding our napkins like this?" And he quickly crumples up the napkin in his fist and squeezes it so tightly that his arm starts to shake. He brings his clenched fist up to his face and stares at it with his eyes bugging out of his head. For the next minute, he treats his closed fist like a snake charmer following the head of a cobra. Full eye contact, deadlocked, his neck undulating in step with the fist. He stops and everyone laughs. But the lesson is not lost on us. The napkin is our life, and most of us have a death grip on it. Now, that is kind of the gist of what I want you guys to focus on this week, and hopefully your entire approach and outlook with your life in general, but also with your diet and exercise goals and fitness goals going forward. Because what I've noticed with myself and then people that I've worked with is that the more that you struggle, the more that you try and force things to happen, especially whenever it comes to things with your body that you can't control. Sure, you can eat a certain amount of calories per day, or you can, hit your macros or go to the gym, but you still can't force your body to change. And actually, whenever you try and force it to do something, it tends to basically laugh at you or counteract what you're doing in the first place. The harder you try, the more stressed you become, and it actually makes your goal a little bit harder. So what I'm trying to get out here is that we need to come more so, and again, this is going to get a little bit of hippy dippy or whatever, but more so from a place of compassion towards your goals. So what I want you to think about with your fitness goals this week, and I think this type of mind shift may be helpful, but it's more so working with yourself instead of against ourselves, right? I think that too many times we can just berate ourselves and just think that more discipline and more berating and more shaming of ourselves is going to make us reach our goals faster. But the fact is, it's usually the opposite. Right. Sure. Sometimes you need that. You need that discipline. Maybe you're just being a lazy piece of shit, but it's a combination of both of those and figuring out how to talk with yourself. And you just have to remember that, you're still going to have to take these actions on a regular basis. So you might as well come at it from a compassionate mindset instead of a self-guilt mindset, and just making, just constantly going at war with yourself and guilting yourself because of the actions you are or are not taking. It's like you still need to eat nutritious foods on a regular basis. It's like you don't have to add some type of guilt to that action. Like you can still be or if you don't end up eating healthy for that day, right? Like it's okay. Like you don't have to guilt yourself. Like what's done is done. So beating yourself up about it isn't going to help anything, right? That's kind of the gist of what I want to get across here. And it's just that I want you to continue on with your fitness goals and doing things because you choose to, not because you have to. There's a big difference there with the way that you approach your fitness goals from this point forward. And I think that there's so much other shit probably going on in your life right now, and that the least that you could do is with your diet and exercise. It's like, even if you aren't making amazing progress, it's like buckling down, disciplining yourself harder, restricting more, limiting more. It's not the answer. Oftentimes with the clients that I work with, it's so funny that they've been trying so hard for weeks or months or something like that, just having that death grip on that napkin, trying to force themselves to make a change. And then some type of life event happens, or maybe they go on a vacation or something like that, something that makes them let up and relax a little bit. And then oddly enough, after they stop so intensely focusing on their goal, they actually get a little bit closer to it. And it's because they just, it's a weird little paradox, but sometimes whenever you care less, it actually allows you to reach your goals a little bit more naturally, because you want to eat healthy, you want to work out regularly, you want to feel good on a regular basis. And so I think that if you stop focusing so hard on the task at hand and just focusing so hard on I need to change, it's just drop back a little bit, relax a little bit. And the biggest thing as well goes with the mental mindset of just limit. Like there's a cool little saying, it's called what you resist persists. And it's just giving up that struggle is so important whenever you're trying to reach your diet and exercise goals, because there's so much things that you can't control, and then life happens. And instead of just beating yourself up about it, it's just keep your eyes forward. Keep just focusing on what to do next. Stop beating yourself up for what you did or didn't do in the present moment, or 5 minutes ago, or 5 days ago, or whatever. The message I want with this minisode, and I know it's a little bit all over the place, but the main thing is to come or to approach your fitness goals this week with a little bit more compassion and fun and play, and don't eat healthy, or don't eat that nutritious food, those nutritious foods, because you feel like you need to eat fewer calories for the day, or you're so focused on fat loss. It's like, eat that because it's good for you. Like it's good for your body, and you're going to feel better after eating it. It doesn't always have to come from a body composition perspective. And I know I can be guilty of this and preaching about this as well, but it's a fine balance. Like if what you're doing consistently isn't working, you keep focusing so hard on tracking every little detail, making sure that everything is perfect, and you still seem to not be making progress. Well, it's like, if you're already not making progress, what do you have to lose by taking your foot off the gas for a week or two and just kind of living your life and focusing on other things, or shifting that mindset into eating those healthy foods or eating those nutritious foods because you know you're going to feel better afterwards, not because it might lead to losing an extra pound or two of fat, right? That little mindset, or going to the gym because you want to and you feel better whenever you leave the gym. Your muscles feel better. Your mind feels more clear. Whenever you shift it into doing it because you want to and not because you have to, that can be a huge mental unlock for people. And as far as motivation goes, it's framing it that way is much more appealing to go to the gym because you know you're going to feel better afterwards, as opposed to, oh, I've got to go hit my chest today. Like if I don't hit my chest or whatever, then I'm going to end up gaining fat tonight because I know I'm going out to eat. So working out as a form of as a buffer for making sure that you can eat more later on. It's like, why not just go and working out because you know you're going to feel better later going into that dinner, knowing that you got in some physical activity, and you can kind of enjoy yourself heading into the night, So yeah, I know this one was kind of random, but I was on this topic or thinking about this topic, and I think about it often. And then I read this story, and I posted about this story before about the napkin on my Instagram, and it just hits me often. Instead of just clenching our fist so hard with that napkin and that crumpling up that napkin, it's just, you need to slowly unclench and release your fingers, because reality is what reality is. You're still going to have to get your, you're still going to try and go after your fitness goals. So it's either you can go after your fitness goals with a death grip on that napkin and make it way harder than it needs to be and suffer for the sake of suffering and suffering more than you need to be suffering, or you can drop back a little bit, you can relax, you can shift your mindset into doing it because you love yourself. It is a form of self-love and self-care. And so keeping in mind that compassionate mindset as you head into this week, I think it's a good idea. So that is it for Minisode number 74 on the More Than Fitness podcast. As always, thank you so much for listening and for watching. See ya.